welcome to my channel. Shooting film. Is it something that you should do? Well, it's something that I started doing again after a break of perhaps 20 years, and I'm actually feeling pretty good about it. I used to be a professional photographer and spent many years earning my living shooting on film cameras, and then I went over to digital, and I enjoyed shooting on digital, and then I moved away from professional photography. Now I take photographs for my own enjoyment, and probably 6 or 8 months ago I was looking around and found that far from being dead the way that I thought film was, it was actually coming back, or at least holding its own somewhere in the background in the world that's completely dominated by digital photography. So I decided to shoot film again. Should you? The common view of film photography is that it's difficult to master, it's complicated, it's expensive, it involves hours of being locked away in chemical fumes in a dark room, and digital photography is cleaner, cheaper, and just the way forward. Well, I'm actually a huge fan of digital photography. I earned my living as a professional photographer, most of it using film, but the later years using digital. And yeah, digital is a revelation, and it's a fabulous way to work. It's a great workflow. But what it does do is it makes you a bit blasé about how many images you shoot, about whether you're getting things right in camera, or whether you can just, I'll fix it in the edit, I'll go into Photoshop, I'll just take that tree out, I'll just make that girl's shirt a different colour. Stuff that we would have, in the old days, done when we were actually taking the shot. For beginners, in fact, I think digital can sometimes be quite harmful, in the sense that the menu system, which most digital cameras have, gets in the way, or at least I find, of some creativity, because you want that feature. You're digging through rows of menus, and all the time you're taking your mind off your subject. And when you use something like this big old medium format camera, there are 2 settings: shutter speed, aperture, and focusing. That's it. That's all you have to distract you, aside from a couple of kilos of weight. There's something to be said for the simplicity when you're learning photography. The fact that you're not deciding where to put your focusing point in an autofocus system. You're looking at the plane of focus that you want and focusing on that plane. Learning how to use your depth of field, learning how to use maybe your hyperfocal distance if you're into street photography. There are so many learning experiences within film photography. Even the experience of developing a film, which Yeah, it is a little bit messy, but it's something that you can do in your bathroom. Um, you just need a changing bag. You don't need dark room. And if you can follow a simple recipe, you can quite easily develop a film. Um, yeah, it's actually easier than making chicken tikka masala, mostly. Um, the other point I made was expense. Now, digital cameras, high-end digital cameras, are extremely expensive. Back in, I think it was the year 2000 or 2001, I bought an early DSLR for work, and it was over £2,000. That same camera is for sale now, second hand on eBay for about 100 to 150. Massive amounts of depreciation that's not going to be suffered by film cameras. They've done all their depreciation. If they're working, if they're well looked after, you'll be able to sell them for what you buy them for, if indeed you want to sell them. And you can buy a £150 SLR camera that will do you years of service, and then spend the 1,000 or so that you've saved on buying a digital camera and buying a truckload of film. I mean, my workflow isn't as simplistic as that. I use a DSLR for scanning my negatives, and I'll be doing a piece on YouTube about how I do that and the equipment that I use. But you can go in as deep or skim the surface as much as you like with film. You can put film in a camera, shoot a roll of film, send it away, and get it scanned and printed, and get the result back in your hand. And that's all you need, as deep as you need to go, all you need to do. Or you can do what I do, which is shoot film and develop it and then scan it. And you can go the whole works and assign a room in your house and make it a dark room and start to print, and that's great and fantastic. And that's at the moment not as far as I want to go into it. I could, but I'm not at the moment going that far. But you can dip into this technology, and I think that's quite important for people learning to be able to dip in as far or as little as they want to. Another good point is the permanence of film. If I was a photographer and I shot something in 1890 on a glass negative, if you have a darkroom today, you can still print that with no problem at all, and you can show those prints around and put away the negative, and it will be there for another 100 years, 200 years. Barring accidents, film is pretty much there for good. The same can't be said of digital files. I've had an experience where I lost a hard drive to failure, and I lost years of very, very important photographs which couldn't actually be retrieved. And even if you back up to the cloud, cloud storage, you have to think about keeping your subscriptions up to whatever service you use. God forbid something happens to you. Do your ancestors keep up your ancestors? Yeah. Do your descendants keep up your subscription for you? Just to keep those photographs lying around. Whereas if they're kept in a shoebox under the stairs, they'll be there forever until someone throws away the shoebox, perhaps. So there's a permanence that goes with film. And I like that. I like something in my hand. And it's like having a vinyl LP. It's a thing to possess and to hold. It's tactile, and so much about film photography is tactile. Film photography cameras, like this old Russian rangefinder, they're nice to hold. They're nice to use. They have a quality that feels maybe a bit old time, but that's nice. And the results are again a bit old time, but that's nice. So if I've inspired you even a little bit to go and get a roll of film, find a camera and shoot it, that's absolutely fantastic. And if you've enjoyed what you've heard here, hey, hit the like button and subscribe. So for the moment, take care, look after yourself, don't go getting any corona, and see you soon. The common perception. Not even the common perception. Why am I talking about common perceptions? I don't know. Okay, the perception of whatever I'm talking about. What am I talking about? Who am I? Yeah!